My influencer girlfriend said, "My engagement is down since you stopped helping." As if that was love, I replied. "Mine is up since I stopped shooting for free," then went to bed. The last photo I took of her went viral, but not for I'm Lucan, 31M, need to get this off my chest. My girlfriend Marina, 28F, of 2 years, and I are going through something that has made me question everything about our relationship. We've been practically living together for the last year. I work as a part-time photographer, but my main job is doing video post-production for a travel company here in Portland. I've always been drawn to photography. Capturing genuine moments feels meaningful to me. Behind the camera, I feel confident. My girlfriend is a lifestyle content creator with about 33K followers. Her whole brand is this calm luxury aesthetic. Very beige, very minimalist, very authentic, if you catch my drift. Everything in her feed is curated to perfection: the lighting, the angles, the subtle earth tones. I've always been supportive of her career. When she mentioned needing better equipment for her content, I didn't hesitate. I bought a professional camera, $2,400, and lighting equipment, $890, specifically to help with her content. Every weekend, I drive her to locations, help set up shoots, take photos and videos, and then spend hours editing everything for her. Sometimes we'll spend an entire Sunday getting the perfect shot of her holding a coffee mug by a window. I'm basically her unpaid personal photographer-videographer on top of my actual job. Here's the thing though, in all of her posts, I'm either cropped out, not tagged, or not mentioned at all in the captions. I'm completely anonymous in her online presence. If you scrolled through her Instagram, you'd have no idea she was even in a relationship. At first, I didn't mind. I figured it was just her aesthetic, and I'm not big on social media anyway. But after 2 years, it started to feel off, like she was deliberately hiding me. Last night was the breaking point. We were sitting on the couch, and I was editing some clips for her latest reel, a sponsored post for some skincare brand that took us 6 hours to shoot. I casually mentioned that it was weird she never changed her relationship status on any platforms, even though we've been together for over 2 years. It wasn't even an accusation, just an observation that had been on my mind. She looked up from her phone where she was monitoring her engagement stats and said, completely seriously, "I haven't changed my relationship status because you haven't done anything worth posting about." Guys, I just sat there. I couldn't even process it at first. After everything I do for her content, after all the time and money I've invested, I'm not post-worthy. What does that even mean? Do I need to propose on a mountaintop or buy her a luxury car to be acknowledged as her partner? I just nodded and said, "Fair enough." Then I closed my laptop and went to bed. She didn't even notice how much it affected me. She just kept scrolling through her notifications. I lay awake for hours thinking about our relationship, how much I've given, and how little I've gotten in return. Not just in terms of social media acknowledgement, but genuine appreciation. This morning, I made a decision. If I'm not worth posting about, I'm not going to be her personal production team anymore. I canceled our planned beach shoot this weekend. We were supposed to drive 2 hours to the coast at sunrise to get golden hour content for some resort she's trying to partner with. When she asked why I was canceling, I just said I picked up a paid gig shooting a friend's engagement photos. She seemed annoyed but didn't push it. She just said, "You're going to need to make this up to me. I promised the resort content by Tuesday." No concern about why I might want to take a paying job instead of driving her around for free. I think she expects me to go back to normal by next week, but I don't think I can. This comment has made me realize how one-sided our relationship has been. I do all this work for her, invest all this money, and she can't even acknowledge me publicly. I've been thinking about the early days of our relationship. When we first met at a mutual friend's gallery opening, we connected over our shared love of visual arts. She was funny, engaging, and seemed genuinely interested in my photography. But somewhere along the way, I stopped being her partner and became her production assistant. I can't pinpoint exactly when it happened, but I know I don't like how it feels. I'm thinking about pulling back completely. No more photography, no more editing, no more driving her around to get the perfect shot. I want to focus on building my own portfolio and maybe picking up some paid gigs. Am I overreacting? Part of me feels like I should just let it go, but another part feels like this is a symptom of a bigger problem. Edit. Holy crap, I wasn't expecting this to blow up. Thanks for all the comments and support. To clarify a few things, I'm not just her photographer, we genuinely had a good relationship outside of the content creation stuff. At least I thought we did. We cook together, watch movies, have inside jokes, do normal couple things. But looking back now, even our date nights often turn into content opportunities. About the equipment, yes, the camera and lighting were gifts that I purchased specifically for her content, but they're technically my equipment. I bought them with my own money, they're registered to me, and I use them for other photography projects too. I've never asked to be featured prominently in her content. I completely understand keeping some privacy and maintaining her personal brand. I just thought acknowledging our relationship status wouldn't affect her brand so negatively. Several people have asked if she pays me for all this work. No, she doesn't. Not a penny. She's positioned it as me supporting her dreams, and that we're building something together. She's mentioned a few times that once she gets bigger brand deals, she'll be able to take care of me. But 2 years in and that hasn't happened yet. Update 1. So I stuck with my decision to stop being Marina's free photographer editor. I've actually booked 3 paid wedding engagement photo shoots in the past 2 weeks. 2 were referrals from that first friend's engagement shoot, and it feels amazing to have people actually value my work enough to pay for it. After the second shoot, the bride's mother teared up looking at the preview images on my camera. She said I captured her daughter's happiness in a way she'd never seen before. That kind of validation after years of shooting perfectly posed, emotionless content. Priceless. The first week after my post, Marina kept expecting me to go back to our usual routine. She'd say things like, "We should go to that new cafe downtown on Saturday. I heard their interior is really photogenic." Or, "Can you edit these selfies I took?" I just kept declining, saying I had other commitments or suggesting she try editing them herself with some app. I recommended a couple of editing programs, but she dismissed them as not professional quality. She started getting increasingly frustrated. Last weekend, she directly asked when I was going to stop being petty and help with her content again. I told her I wasn't being petty, I was simply prioritizing paid work over unpaid work. She didn't take it well. "So our relationship is transactional now. You need to be paid to support me," she said. I replied, "No, but you made it clear that our relationship isn't worth acknowledging publicly, so I'm reevaluating how much of my professional skills I'm giving away for free." I explained that I'd spent hundreds of hours helping her build her brand, and while I was happy to support her dreams, I needed to focus on my own goals too. She stormed out and didn't speak to me for 2 days. During that time, I focused on building my photography portfolio website and researching pricing structures for freelance photography. The quiet time alone was actually refreshing and gave me space to think clearly about what I wanted. When Marina finally started speaking to me again, I sat her down and explained that I didn't think our relationship was working anymore. I told her I felt undervalued and that her comment about me not being post-worthy had revealed a fundamental issue in how she saw me. Her response: "You're throwing away 2 years because of one comment. That's ridiculous. I was just being honest about my brand requirements." I said, "It wasn't just one comment, it was the truth behind it. You see me as a resource for your content, not as a partner you're proud to be with. I've spent 2 years helping you build your platform while putting my own goals on hold. I need to prioritize myself now." She denied it, but then immediately pivoted to how her content quality would suffer without me, which kind of proved my point. "My engagement has already dropped 15% in the 2 weeks you haven't been helping me," she said. "My followers can tell the difference and brands will notice too." Not a word about missing me or our relationship, just concern about her metrics. When I stood firm on breaking up, she actually asked if she could at least keep me on as her photographer. "We can set up a contract," she said. "I can't pay much right now, but once I get bigger deals, I can increase your rate." As if the issue was just about money and not the fundamental lack of respect. I declined. I spent the next few days moving my stuff out of her apartment. It wasn't much I'd never fully moved in despite spending most of my time there. She alternated between cold silence and attempts to convince me I was making a mistake. At one point she even suggested we take a break, but keep collaborating professionally until I got over this phase. I just kept packing. Within 24 hours of officially breaking up, my phone exploded. Marina called 23 times and sent 17 texts. I finally listened to one voicemail where she alternated between sobbing about how I'd betrayed her and threatening to tell everyone I was a toxic manipulator who'd used her for exposure. The final twist: one of Marina's friends emailed me late that night. Her engagement has tanked since you left. She's losing followers daily, and one of her sponsors is questioning the quality drop. Please come back and help her out. This is destroying her career. And suddenly everything made sense. It was about keeping me as her free production team while maintaining the illusion of being single for her followers. She didn't want to acknowledge our relationship publicly because it didn't serve her brand, but she needed my skills to maintain the quality her followers expected. I haven't responded to any of her messages. I think I'm just going to move forward and focus on my paid photography work. 2 years is a long time to be someone's secret boyfriend, unpaid employee, but I'm grateful to finally see the relationship clearly. Update 2: it's been a little over a month since my last update. My photography side gig is really taking off. I've booked 8 more jobs in the past month, including 2 bigger wedding packages. One client even found me through a referral chain, the cousin of someone who saw my work at a friend's wedding. I'm actually making decent money now, enough that I'm considering reducing my hours at the travel company. I've been experimenting with different styles beyond what I was doing for Marina. I realized I'd gotten so used to shooting in her calm luxury aesthetic that I'd forgotten how much I enjoy capturing more spontaneous, emotional moments. The client feedback has been incredible. People keep saying they love how I capture genuine moments instead of just posed shots. During one of these photo shoots about 3 weeks ago, I met someone. I was photographing an engagement party when one of the guests approached me during the dinner portion. "Those shots you were taking earlier looked really natural. How do you get people to look so comfortable?" she asked. "I try to capture genuine moments instead of poses," I explained. "I'm Lucan, by the way." "Elise, I'm a vet tech in Salem," she said with a smile. "Friend of the bride." We chatted about photography for a few minutes before she asked, "Have you been doing this professionally for long?" "Actually, I just started taking paid gigs, still building my business." "Well, you're really good," she said. "I know lots of people looking for photographers in Salem. I'd be happy to spread the word." "That would be great, thanks." As the night ended, she handed me her phone. "We should exchange numbers for client referrals and maybe coffee sometime." She was blushing slightly, and I realized this wasn't just networking. "Salem's only an hour away," she added. "Not far at all," I agreed. "We've been texting regularly since then, and honestly, it's refreshing." She asks about my day, my interests, my photography. She seems genuinely interested in me as a person, not what I can do for her. When I sent her some of my favorite landscape shots, something I'd never shown Marina because they weren't on brand for her content, Elise responded with specific observations about what she liked in each image. Last weekend, we met up for coffee, which turned into a 6-hour date. We ended up talking for hours, then walking around downtown Salem, and finally having dinner. She showed me pictures of the animals at her clinic. I showed her some of my photography. At one point she said, "These are amazing. You should post more of your work online. Have you thought about having your own exhibition?" The genuine enthusiasm in her voice made me realize how little validation I'd been getting from Marina. While all this positive stuff has been happening in my life, Marina has gone on a full offensive. 3 days after my last update, she posted a series of tearful stories about how she was healing from a toxic relationship, where she was used for exposure and then abandoned. She never mentioned me by name, but anyone who knows us would figure it out. The irony of her claiming I used her for exposure is just, wow, I didn't even have a photography business until after we broke up. In these posts, she rewrote our entire relationship history. According to her version, I was an amateur photographer who begged to shoot her content for my portfolio, and she generously mentored me until I betrayed her. She even claimed I stole her equipment when I left without warning. Her mom, sister, and 2 close friends have all reached out to me separately, begging me to help her get her engagement back. Not help her emotionally, help her get her engagement back. Her sister literally said, "She's lost almost 2,000 followers since you guys broke up. Her content quality is suffering without you. She's struggling to maintain her partnerships." None of them mentioned anything about her feelings or our relationship. It was all about her follower count and content quality. Her mother even suggested I could just edit her content remotely, so we wouldn't have to interact in person. When I pointed out that this was essentially asking me to continue working for free despite us breaking up, she said, "Well, you did it for 2 years already. What's a little longer while she transitions?" Last week, I received an email from Marina threatening to take me to small claims court for the camera and lighting equipment, total value $3,290. She claimed I bought them specifically for her use, and that they were essentially gifts that I was now stealing back. She also mentioned she was gathering evidence of how I had verbally contracted to be her photographer. I was worried until I spoke with a friend who's a paralegal. He helped me put together a response that included receipts showing I purchased the equipment with my own money from my own accounts. We found text messages where she had referred to them as your camera and your lights on multiple occasions. We created a detailed spreadsheet calculating the market rate for the photography and editing services I provided over 2 years, which came to approximately $15,600 based on industry standard hourly rates. We finished with a statement that if she wanted to pursue the small claims case, I would file a counterclaim for the value of my services. She backed down immediately and withdrew the threat. The last message I got from her lawyer, actually just a friend of hers who's a first-year law student, was that she was choosing to be the bigger person and move on from this unfortunate situation. Yesterday, I found out from a mutual friend that Marina has lost around 5,000 followers total now. One of her sponsored partnerships fell through because her engagement rate dropped too low. They told her directly that the quality and consistency of her content had declined too much for them to continue the partnership. She's had to move back in with her parents in Tacoma because she can't afford her apartment without the sponsor income. The friend also mentioned she sold her MacBook Pro to cover bills and is looking to sell some camera equipment, which I'm pretty sure isn't hers to sell. I've made sure to keep my equipment secured just in case. The friend also shared that Marina has been telling everyone who will listen that I ruined her career and stole her aesthetic. She's apparently convinced that I used her to build my photography skills and contacts, then dumped her once I had what I needed. I feel a mix of emotions about all this. On one hand, I do feel bad that her livelihood is struggling. I know how important her social media career was to her. On the other hand, it's a stark reminder of how she viewed our relationship. I wasn't a partner, I was a production resource. The second I stopped providing free labor, everything fell apart for her. It reveals how unsustainable her approach was. Elise has been amazingly supportive throughout all this drama. When I showed her some of the messages from Marina's family, she just shook her head and said, "They're not worried about her heart breaking, they're worried about her brand faltering. That tells you everything." She's right. Not one person from Marina's circle has mentioned how she's feeling emotionally about our breakup. It's all about the numbers and the content. I've updated my relationship status with Elise. Not because it's a super serious thing yet, but I genuinely enjoy spending time with her. She immediately shared it on her own profile and tagged me, which was such a simple but meaningful gesture after 2 years of being the invisible boyfriend. I'm planning to look for a place closer to Salem. My lease is up in 2 months, and I think I need a fresh start away from this situation. My boss at the travel company has already said I can work remotely 3 days a week, so the commute won't be an issue. Elise and I aren't moving in together yet, it's too soon, but being closer would make dating a lot easier. Final update first, about the professional side. I left my job at the travel company and opened my own photography studio. It started as a side business, but grew so quickly that I couldn't balance both anymore. I now specialize in wedding and engagement photography, with some family portraits mixed in. I have a steady client base and bookings through the next 6 months. I'm making about 30% more than I was at my old job, and I'm actually enjoying my work again. The transition wasn't easy. There were definitely moments of panic when I quit my stable job to pursue photography full-time. But the freedom to create the kind of images I believe in has been worth every anxious moment. My style has evolved so much since breaking free from Marina's aesthetic requirements. I focus on capturing genuine emotion and spontaneous moments rather than perfectly posed, Instagram-worthy shots. Turns out there's a huge market for authenticity in an increasingly curated visual world. Elise and I are still together and doing great. We moved in together 3 months ago, found a place halfway between Salem and Portland to split the commute. Living with her is easy. We have our occasional disagreements, but we talk through them like adults. No games, no hidden resentments. She's supportive of my photography business and has even helped me network with some of her clients who have gotten engaged or are planning family photos. And yes, our relationship is public. We post about each other, tag each other, acknowledge each other's existence online and in real life. It's such a simple thing, but after my experience with Marina, it feels significant. Speaking of Marina, about 2 months ago, I got an email from a marketing agency that used to sponsor her content. They were planning a campaign focused on brand transparency and wanted to hire me as their photographer. I was hesitant at first, worried it might be some kind of setup, but the offer was legitimate and the pay was excellent. I accepted the job. During our initial meeting, they explained that the campaign was about calling out the fakeness that permeates social media. The irony wasn't lost on me. They mentioned they were working with several influencers who prioritized authenticity over perfect aesthetics, and were specifically moving away from the type of heavily filtered, staged content that had dominated the platform for years. Then came the shoot day. I was setting up my equipment when I saw her. Marina was there not as the main influencer for the campaign, but as one of several people they'd hired to be background extras in some of the scenes. Our eyes met briefly. She looked away first. I didn't approach her and she didn't approach me. Throughout the day, I remained professional, focused on my job. She stayed on the periphery, watching me work with the main talent. The most surreal moment came during the final group shot. I was positioned behind the camera, lights set up perfectly, directing everyone into place. Marina was standing at the edge of the frame, barely visible. The flash went off, the shutter clicked, and I captured the image her blurred in the background while I controlled the narrative. The perfect visual metaphor for our reversed positions. After the shoot, the creative director praised my work and asked if I'd be interested in more projects with them. I said yes. As I was packing up, Marina approached me. "So you're doing well," she said. Not a question, just a statement. I nodded. "I am." She looked like she wanted to say more, but just nodded and walked away. That was it. No dramatic confrontation, no tearful reconciliation, no final blow-up. Just a brief, awkward exchange and then nothing. I later heard through mutual friends that she's trying to rebrand herself as a healing journey influencer, documenting her recovery from relationship trauma. Her follower count is slowly climbing again, but she's nowhere near where she was. I wish her well, genuinely. I hope she learns from this experience, but that's not my concern anymore.